Hello and welcome back to the Only Fools Love Horses YouTube channel. It's episode 2 of our Cheltenham Ante-post series. Thank you very much to Johnny Deneen for coming on last week, and thank you very much to you at home for the support. It's one of our best videos we've had on the channel. 6.7 thousand views, multiple likes, multiple comments about what you fancy at Cheltenham. So make sure to do the same this week. Smash the like button and do put in your fancies down below, and I'm sure to get around to the comments of talking about them. But we've got an equally fantastic guest on this week. We've got the brilliant Tanya Stevenson on for episode 2. Tanya, we'll just sort of catch up with you. What have you been keeping up with over the last sort of few years and few weeks? You're with Greyhound TV now. Are you still taking in a fair amount of racing and watching it and get excited for the Cheltenham Festival?
Yeah, you'd like to think so. Unbelievably, since you may or may not have been watching me on Channel 4 Racing, I do the stats and the research to help out the very good ITV team throughout the year. For the number of years I've been doing that since Channel 4 finished. So yes, I've got my hand well into that. Go racing quite regularly to go to some really lovely meetings based in Yorkshire, North Yorkshire now. So I've been recently to the likes of Newcastle. Saying that though, I've been to the likes of Ludlow, and then of course you go Wetherby, Catterick. Absolute treats racing all the time, whether it's flat and jump. So really, really love it. You mentioned Greyhound TV. I've been lucky enough to learn how to produce. I've been doing that for a few years, breaking and pressing buttons and technically understanding how more and more programs get put together. That's been really good. Been presenting and producing South African horse racing, which has been real fun as well. Yeah, just generally keeping on top of things. In the meantime, I've also owned a cafe. That's
Wow.
been and gone now, the cafe, but that was so much fun. So much fun. But
was it called Big Max?
It should have been, shouldn't it? It should have been called Big Max, but no, it was called Coffee at 412, and now it's because of the move up to Yorkshire. Dad couldn't run it all on his own, and I didn't want him to, because he loves his raciness. So that's great to have the whole family bouncing off of one another on all selections. So yes, my hand's in all the time, and I'm really honoured. And I don't know how I can match Johnny Deneen, because that was a right coup last week, wasn't it? Right coup.
It was very good. He's very good, and we're so happy to have you on, Tanya. Obviously, you're sort of mentioning Channel 4 Racing. We were just speaking off camera there. The Twitter videos that get chucked up of you and Big Mac in the betting ring from Channel 4 Racing days. Do you ever watch back on them and sort of remember back on how good they were and what it was, the experience like to be part of the Channel 4 Racing team?
Yeah, I mean, watch back on them. I'm lucky because I watch back on them because the kind people that put those videos back up. So I can watch myself and Mac, and you can really reminisce over the times where it was great fun, a real privilege, and really to be part of an important cog of the racing industry. That betting ring is so important. It still is now, and I find the mute buttons on it. Really do find the mute buttons on it. And the characters haven't. I know people say there's lots of characters that have disappeared, but they haven't. There's so many stories still to tell. ITV do awesome job telling so many stories, and they've got to cover everything. But you could still tell more. The people, the characters, the race goers, yourselves in the equivalent of yourselves in the betting ring, that you're all part of that tapestry of the sport. And if you could get the voices out, the atmosphere in the ring, that went up a notch when you're in the ring. You sort of then the camaraderie in the ring, even though they're competing against one another, the bookmakers, and then the bookmakers versus the punters, there's a camaraderie there. And it just adds the information that comes out, the whispers you hear, the price is disappearing. And of course now, because the sort of betting ring is like 1 point displaced, because not, of course, a part of the SP, even more important that you're across it. But sometimes it might be empty because there's less people there. Sometimes it might be bursting. I mean, goodness me, looking at Lingfield today, you'd have loved to have been part of the betting ring at Lingfield today. Indeed, more so the day before, and at Wolverhampton the day before that, Alexis. I mean, goodness me, Alexis. I know that's the flat, but the gamble on that. But today, even watching and see people's reaction when L'Homme Pressé came back in, and the reaction when First Flow came back in, that's all, you know, more and more. I thought Matt did an amazing job in the paddock. But yes, the betting ring, it needs to be given a little bit more TLC. But then I would say that because I've been to two churches. I've been standing up on course bookmaker. That was many years ago. That was 25 years ago or such, and more so now, getting on as a punter. So yes, it just needs a little bit of TLC.
Tanya, is there a moment in your broadcasting history that really stands out to you? Now I know we've touched on the videos that keep flashing up on social media, but for you personally, is there one moment with you and John where you thought, this is something that's going to make, or this is a pinch me moment? Is this something that really stands out?
I say a pinch me moment. Actually, that was quite interesting where we were stood in the clip. If people watch on social media, we were stood right in front of the sponsors pitch for Gold Cup. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that not ideal. Pinch me moment was when we were at Donny in the betting ring, and he's there and all his Geordie lads, his Newcastle United regalia, which is we can't blame him for that. But standing in the ring at Donny, and he's saying at the top of his voice, I hope Leeds go down. Apologies to all supporters at Ellen Road, but they'll appreciate that was an unwise move by Mac. Also, when he came out of the Big Brother house, yeah, I mean, that's another one. We had to, yes, a drink name constantly that he'd mentioned in the Big Brother house. We just had that. Do you want some of that drink? And you think, oh my goodness, thanks for that, Mac. But yeah, anytime you stood against Mac, yes, that is a pinch me moment because you don't know what's coming next. You literally don't know what's coming next. Obviously, anytime that, once again, Corto Star, when you stood, moments like that, those historic moments when you stood alongside Mac, to see those historic things happen, you know, they're really pinch me moments. But any time stood next to Mac was great, because I think my pinch me moment when I was given the first nod to go and stand in that Cheltenham betting ring, not obviously with when Mac was alongside, but when Mac went on his tour of the world, standing in and doing the betting ring by myself in the November meeting at Cheltenham. I mean, that was amazing. And then doing my beloved Aintree. That was an absolute treat. I never thought I'd actually be able to do the betting ring where I actually had a pitch. So yes, that was a pinch me moment as well.
Oh, fantastic memories, really is. We'll kick on, everyone. We'll kick on into the races we're going to be covering. Like last week, we did 3 races under the microscope and an anti-post pick from all of us and yourselves, the audience, at the end. We'll start with the first race we're going to be covering. As we said, chronological order through the Cheltenham Festival, and we're going to go to the Mares Hurdle on the Tuesday. A very interesting race in the fact that the top 2 in the market, Lossiemouth 5-2 and Gala Marceau 6-1. We haven't seen them yet this season, both trained by Willie Mullins, 5-year-olds coming out of a juvenile season. How will they face up against the older mares? Astro Diamond 7-1, Love Envoi in there at 10s, Echoes and Rain for Willie Mullins again 14-1, Jatara 14-1 in the market, but she's got the option of still being a novice for the mares novices as well, and Lucia 16s. So very interesting market. Tanya, I'll go over to you first of all. How have you seen the Mares Hurdle shape up wise? Is there anything that's at the top of your list currently?
I like how you mentioned Jatara. How tough do we think Jatara is? Winning
I think she's very good.
16 lengths. I think it's 16 lengths, 7 lengths and 9 lengths, something like that in the last 3 runs. Very underestimated because she's tough as well, and often you don't win by those distances looking tough because you think, oh, I'll wait till she meets someone and then to take her on. Well, they have, and then she's just kicked on and won by further and further. So I love Jatara. I appreciate that Lossiemouth and Gala Marceau, they were the 1-2 in the novices last year. Astro Diamond, that throws in its own imponderable because Astro Diamond ran in a corking race against Teahupoo That's the same scenario as Echoes in Rain, who Echoes in Rain at the moment keeps having to be the adversary for State Man. But then you think that 2 miles is probably a little bit, meaning that she won't like the 2.5 of the mares. So that's an issue. Mary's Rock, I mean, what's happened there? She won it in 2022, and now she's being campaigned over much further. So there's a lot of indecision. What do we do with Marie's Rock? This L'Avenois, then if we're Spellbower, what do you do with them? Lucia is good. She's just excellent. I think You Wear It Well's a little bit underestimated. Because fair play to you, fair play to Jamie Snowden with You Wear It Well. He said, right, well, we'll have a crack, and so he did in the fighting fifth. That's no problem at all. You've got to have a crack in a Group 1, but she certainly got a little bit of about her. But when all said and done, I mean, I hope Jatara comes to this division rather than go for the other option. Many people say or think Willie Mullins, Mayor's Hurdle, but I've actually had a double look, and he won it in 28. The last time he won it in 2018, he's won it umpteen times courtesy of Q Vega. He then won it in 2018, but other than that, it's not been Willie Mullins. And so the fact that he's at the top of the market, he's got so much strength in depth, but don't be afraid to look elsewhere. Don't be afraid. He's got the strength there, but the results prove to you that there are other trainers that gone out and won. I've just mentioned Nikki Henderson, Gordon Elliott's won it, so it's there. I mean, for me, perhaps Jatara, and the way that keeps improving.
Yeah, she's a very big improver, and she's obviously got the option of both. But 2.5 miles, a nice sort of gritty performance from the front, could be right up her street. Lee, Mayor's Hurdle. I know me and you like a horse the same. Is you still keeping with Gala Marceau as one that you sort of towards the top of your list in the Mayor's Hurdle?
Yeah, just simply because I knew that it was a plan from Willie to do this route to save her and Lossiemouth and not campaign at early doors. And she was always going to have this one run and then kick on. She'll probably then maybe go back to France. She won that race over this trip at O'Toole, and she won it impressive, to be fair. And if you look back at the Triumph, she was the one staying on. She was muddled in the pack before the bend, the flight before the bend. She was right in the pack where Lossiemouth got first run, and she was the one staying on best. I'll have her over Lossiemouth. They've both not been seen this season. They've got options to go to. I think there's one at Punchestown. I think it's an anti-power race or Solarina maybe. But there's one at Doncaster as well. Ashrow Diamond and Galamoso is both penciled down for that race. I just hope she can step up to the top table from that novice division. And yeah, one I really like, and I think she'll relish the trip.
Yeah, look, I will have to weigh on this one. I put Gala Marceau up sort of 20-1 start the season, or even before that, so I will get the hammer out for that one as a little bit of trumpet play. But look, that was before a French run. She got smashed in after her victory in France when beating subsequent Galway hurdle winner Zarek the Brave. I thought she was very good that day. Now she's sort of 6-1, 5-2 Lossiemouth. Would I be going in and betting on her again? I probably wouldn't. I'd probably be happy with her at the prices, as well as Lossiemouth, because Lossiemouth, at the end of the day, I know Gala Marceau has beaten Lossiemouth, but Lossiemouth got taken out at the DRF by stablemate and had to come all the way around, did the hard work around the outside, and still they stayed on to only be beaten by a couple of lengths. I think it's quite close between those two there, and I probably maybe edge Lossiemouth ahead of her at the prices, but I think it is. I think it's a tight one between those two for sure. Harry, are you looking towards the top of the market, or are you looking elsewhere for the Mayor's Hurdle? Maybe a L'Avenois. She was second in the race last year. Has she entered your calculations at all?
Yeah, well, listen. Firstly, I'll echo Tanya's thoughts on the Willie Mullins battalion. Well, if you take out Vroom Vroom Mag, who was I say Benny Didier was actually the last winner for Willie Mullins. But like Willie Mullins has got a pretty poor record, even though the Irish trainers have a very strong record in the race. Genuinely, obviously Denise Foster, when Gordon Elliott was suspended, won the race with Black Tears. Henry de Bromhead obviously won it with Honeysuckle. It's a it's a very good race for Irish trainers. And obviously, if you look at the English trainers that have won it, Nikki Henderson won it with Marie's Rock. She was sent off at 18-1 when she won. Obviously, Roxana, when she won the 2019 Renew, she was sent off 10-1. So if you're kind of going off the English, and if you think the English are being underestimated, Love Envoy is a best price 10-1 for this race. She obviously brings the form from last year when obviously she went down on a shield against Honeysuckle, who was that brilliant hour of racing, wasn't it? It was so emotional. It was probably, for me, that was my pinch me moment on course, where there wasn't a dry eye in sight at Presbury Park that day. It was special. Love Envoy is very good, but actually I'd give Lucia a sniff. I think I think she's the best of Nikki Henderson's. I think she's a horse on the upwards curve. She was actually supposed to run, I think it was this weekend at Ascot. I think she was supposed to go for one of the handicap. I think it was she was going for a handicap hurdle against West Balboa, I think it was. I just think Lucia is a very, very good horse. She's proven it. She came out of the Great Wood when she went down on the shield again. Obviously, she only finished behind Look Away and Iberico Lord that won the race. Yes. Look, she's got to improve. She disappointed slightly in the Mares Novices last year behind You Wear It Well, who for Jamie Snowden, he's a very good target trainer. Take nothing away from Jamie. He's very, very shrewd, and he'll have his guns firing. He won't have many, but he'll have all of his guns firing come March. I do think Lucia is potentially the best of the British. Now, that's going to annoy a few Love Envoy fans, so I do apologise, but Lucia is the one for me at 16-1. I think it's a big, big price.
Was Love Envoy meant to run at Lingfield this weekend?
Yes, I think it's Friday, wasn't it? She was supposed to go. So
yeah, the plans are there, but look, she may take a different race. I don't know, but yeah, like you say, we still got us Brits have still got good chances in these races.
My only worry with Love Envoy would be I feel like she's a little bit ground dependent. Now, I feel like she wants softer ground, and if she doesn't really get it, I don't think you'll see the best in her. Whereas Lucia, I think she's bulletproof. She will give her running all the time, and I'm a massive fan of her. Massive fan.
It's like without trying to mention too many horses in this race and trying to
we've covered half the field. If we don't find a winner here, we are really going wrong.
The two, this is an Ante-post show, and I suppose the half the battle of Ante-post is trying to find the prices. The two that for me at bigger prices, I quite liked. I'm going back in on Echoes and Rain. You two will probably sort of have face palm yourselves there for Echoes and Rain again. But look, a lot of people are calling on to Astro Diamond and the fact that she ran behind Tiupu and Imperio Pass the last day, but she was quite far back, and she ran a good race, but she's quite far back. But Echoes and Rain's different. She's been running in behind State Man, and actually sort of first start of the season, she travelled around the bends in the, I think it was on Matheson, and travelled all over, like not all over State Man, but travelled very well into the race. And then State Man, natural 2-miler, sort of second best hurdler we've seen in this division, just went away. She then ran again at Leopardstown at Christmas time. That was in the Matheson, sorry. First run of the season was in the Morgiana. Then in the Matheson, she did very similar again and finished 11 lengths behind State Man. I think as she's maturing, she's only 8. She's maturing. I think she's settling much better into her races. Last year, she wasn't settling at all at the back. She's settling much better into her races. I think 2.5 miles, she's going to be much better over that trip this season. And last year's Mares Hurdle, the 1-2 pretty much were in the front pair for the whole race. Love Envar and Honeysuckle. There was barely any pace on the part, and the only pace that was coming was from them two. The rest of the field never got into it. She finished 4th that day, I think, with maybe a tighter ride to the front or just a stronger pace on offer. There could be a bit more fortune in her favour. But then again, you look through the field, where is the pace? And the pace does come from You Wear It Well. I can see very much a case in the fact You Wear It Well goes from the front. She's hard to catch, and she look, it's a case of if you're better than me, come catch me kind of thing. She's going to have a chance at 16s, because I just don't, like last year, I just don't see any pace coming in the race. So that may hinder my chances with Echoes and Rain, but I think Echoes and Rain is a bit of an easier horse to handle this year.
Doesn't she just want a really quick run 2-mile, like stick her in a county or something? Like, I don't know. I don't think
stick her in the county.
I just don't think she stays that trip, and she's not good enough to compete against champion hurdlers. That's my case.
I'd say maybe one. I need to be disappointed one more time. Maybe she needs to kick me in the teeth one more
You're
time.
already over the cliff, yeah. You know what? Trying to pull you back up. Come on.
I'm
You're worse than
hanging
me
on.
with Facile Vega, and I've got a tattoo of that horse, so it won't be long before you've got a tattoo of Echoes in Rain. In printed.
I was going to say if Echoes and Rain wins the Mares, I'll get a tattoo, but I'm not
Don't
that
say
silly,
that.
Harry. I'm not that
No,
silly.
that is
No, but
silly,
I'll end it there. I think Echoes and Rain, a stronger run race, she'll be better. And look, she may kick me in the teeth one more time at 2.5 miles in the Mares Hurdle, but I'm happy to go down and have a go at that. The National Hunt Chase, the final race we'll cover on the Tuesday. We've still got one more to go. We're going to be covering the Barring Bingham, which is the Ballymore. But the National Hunt Chase is what we're covering, the Grade 2 there. Embassy Gardens 7-1, topping the market. Corbett's Cross 8-1. Flooring Porter, only entry for this horse, 8-1. Nick Rocket still needs to qualify, 8-1. Meeting of the Waters 10s, Grange Clare West 12s, Kakuna 12s, and Salvador Ziggy 12s as well. Tanya, we spoke about the Mares Hurdle there being an open picture because of its competitivity, but I suppose the National Hunt Chase, it's an open picture because maybe nothing's really gone to the front and said, I'm the number one horse in this division. How do you see the National Hunt Chase this year?
Yeah, I totally agree. But the National Hunt Chase is a race you've got to win ugly. I mean, it's a horrible cliche to say, but you've got to really kind of tough it out. You mustn't be on, I think the stats say you mustn't be older than 8. You've got to have quite a few races going into this, so 3 or more, say. You're not necessarily going to be a massive outsider in the race, but certainly you might have something like a national portfolio, whether it be a Scottish national, Irish national, or Grand National portfolio. You're thinking about, contemplating about those sort of things. If you look at the horses that have previously run, got placed like towards or even won the race, for example, Tiger Roll, Tifa 3 won the race, and that got placed in a national. So you're thinking of that. You're thinking a long range ahead, as well as this race. So you can see why some horses that they're pricing up, because you don't know where they're going to run some of these horses. That in mind, you haven't mentioned a horse that I've had a look through that is in the lineup who certainly declared intent this week without running, and that was Kilbeg King. That is the Anthony Honeyball horse that I was rubbing my hands together and thinking, oh, lovely, look, you're going to run in a nice little handicap at Ascot.
This is music to my ears, by the way, Tanya. I completely agree with what
It
you're
was
about
meant
to
to be running in a lovely little handicap at Ascot, and I was thinking, lovely, this'll do me. And then suddenly the decks came out, and I was tucked in my tracker, Kilbeg King, thinking, oh, just double check you're in. And I went, do what? And it suddenly popped up against Royal Pagal. And I'm thinking, oh, well, fair play, Anthony Honeyball. That's a statement. But you can understand why, because if you watch the video when he was running at Kempton against the Wonder Horse, oh, my goodness me, how well was that travelling? The Wonder Horse was great, and that was gone. And at this stage, Kilbeg King was no match. But hold on a minute. Kilbeg King is not a Kempton horse to me. Not a Kempton horse. And Anthony Honeyball must have been doing cartwheels with that run. And when I saw him pole up and put it in his normal race at Ascot, that's great. But then he thought, right, I'll declare my hand now. I'll declare my hand. This is what I think of the horse. I'm going to pitch you up against Royal Pagal. With that in mind, he's run 3 really good races, obviously the best one at Kempton last time out, and I can see him coming here, and then in the future, because he's not a youngster, so in the future I think he's got maybe Aintree on the mind, or maybe even Air on the mind, and good luck, perhaps Air. I mean, he'd love Air. He's probably, if Anthony watches this, he'll be swearing. But after Sam Brown the other day, you can see how his mind works. And I'll be Kilbeg King here, hopefully. Fingers crossed it'll go.
Yeah, Kilbeg King's one on my shortlist. I do think he's got a good chance. I saw him at Punchestown, and he had an amount of pounds in hand at Punchestown to win that competitive handicap hurdle. And then look, he's been campaigning this season, 2.5 miles against Iroko first time out, 2.5 miles again in a novice handicap chase where he's beaten fairly outside. But again, it's 2.5 miles. He was inevitably going to be stepping up to 3 miles over fences. I thought you were an absolute blinder behind Ile Francais, the wonder horse you said there. an absolute blinder. Entered this weekend for a race where I think he actually will hopefully go and win the Great Yorkshire Handicap Chase, 14-1. I like him for that race, and I do think he's got a good chance in this race. I'll save my other one for this race for later on. I'll go Harry first of all, National Hunt Chase. Kilbeg King, do you agree, or is it anything else that's on your agenda?
Look, it's pretty obvious. I did mention her in my last in our section last year, so it's a bit stupid of me because I should have just saved it for this week. But look, Appleway. Everyone knows how much she means to me. I love her to bits. She's a Grade 1 winner, and I think she's lacking that respect. She's a novice, and she very much is learning on the job. She's had a few goes at it. She was, I won't say disappointing at Haydock behind Grey Dawning, but in all truth, in all fairness, now I think that she lost nothing in defeat by getting smashed by Grey Dawning at Haydock, because she got smashed by him at Warwick last week as well. So I think Grey Dawning is going to turn out to be a very, very good horse. He's learning on the job, but he's learning at a rapid rate of knots that is quite frightening. To be fair, I think he's one of the most exciting novice chasers we've seen. But going back to Appleway, Peter Scudamore is very adamant of he does not want to go for the Brown Advisory, so it is very much. Whereas Lucinda, she does. She's kind of the Brown Advisory, and well, Peter's saying, right, we're going for anything other than the Brown Advisory. The Mayor's Chase, the Ultima, and the National Hunt Chase, they're all going up in the air at the minute. But I think National Hunt Chase, it's not degrading her by saying she's a National Hunt Chase type, because she's not slow. Like, she won at Aintree and she went a good clip all the way, and she keeps going, and that's what she does. She doesn't exactly have a turn of foot like the others, but she has such a high cruising speed that it just finds other horses off the bridle, and they simply can't live with her. I think in the undulating conditions at Cheltenham, she'll get £7 for being a mare. I think it really suits her. Even if the ground came up soft, it has done in the last couple of years. Obviously, I think it was last year. It was who won the race last year? Oh, it's Guy Domenico, didn't he? It absolutely tipped it down, and it was vile. If that happened, she wouldn't be stopping from the front end. And I'm very excited with it. I think 20-1 is criminal, but it's. I'm really buzzing to see her. We don't know where she's going to go. She could go in February for a race at. I just lost the top of my head now. It might be Ascot. But if that's not the case, she will go straight to Cheltenham, which is absolutely no problem. And she proved last year to all of us that she gets better as the year goes on. So, Appleway for me. I am going to keep the faith, Ash.
If you couldn't tell, Harry's an Appleway fan there, ladies and gentlemen. Lee, National Hunt Chase, top of your list. What horse might that be?
Look, I've come down on two Gordon Elliott horses. I think Favre de Champs is probably going to be overlooked. I think disappointed the last day, but had beaten Florent Porter easily the time before. I think this race will suit him, and he'll be overlooked. But again, Salvador Ziggy, just because he's a spring horse, he's had that gap. He disappointed in the American Grand National, but there's excuses come back for that run. Look, you're traveling in whatever. Like, there's an excuse to go with that as well. I don't know if he come back lame as well. I think, if I'm right, but yeah, look. I just think them two would probably be overlooked, and Gordon Elliott's got a good record in it. I think Gordon's first Cheltenham winner was Chicago Grey in this race, and yeah, look, he's won it plenty. He had a good chance last season, second to Gallo de Menil, and yeah, look, I just think they're probably going to be overlooked in a market where maybe whatever Patrick Mullins rides is going to be to the forefront of the market. Patrick did come out and say that Manila Kakuna, who won well yesterday, jumped great and he kind of had a glint in his eye. Maybe that's the choice of Patrick's. Nick Rocket is a horse that I like, and Embassy Garden I'd be least warm on of Willie's. But yeah, the two Gordon Elliott horses, Favre de Champs and Salvador Ziggy, who's been targeted at this race, I think are overpriced.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. We've just come off recording our Sunday live on Twitter, and so I mentioned those two horses there, Favori de Champdu and Salvador Ziggy. Both of them got a good hand for Gordon Elliott there. Salvador Ziggy, I think, is a fantastic jumper over his fences, really accurate, really nice and low, doesn't get too much air, gets over them, landing and running away. Better ground suits him, and he'll have a nice break from the American Grand National. And we've seen Gordon do it before, give his horse a nice break. He's even sort of turned up after one run in October and turned up really fresh the National Chase and won it. I think it was with Galvin. So
I think Chemical Energy done the same. Had a gap last season.
Yeah. So yeah, it's doable, and I like those two as well. 100%. They're on the radar for sure. We'll move on then to the final race that's under the microscope this week. It's the Bearing Bingham Novices Hurdle, as known as the Ballymore for many people.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. They keep changing these things, and I think we're all right, but Johnny Deneen is arguably the worst person I've heard at remembering these new names that are popping up. It's absolutely brilliant, isn't it?
Brown advisory and stuff. The official title of the race. It just needs a new sponsor. That's all.
Yes, that is the official title. Maybe we'll have the Only Fools Love Horses Novices Hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival. Maybe that would be nice. Anyway, Ballyburn topping the market.
To say you've got Chase there. As just to correct, I'm not.
Yeah, that might help my selection. I don't want to go out over. It's already treating the smaller obstacles with contempt. Yeah, it's so big. Yeah.
Technical error out the way, and we're back on the Bearing Bingham Novices Hurdle, as there says on your screen. I'll give myself a slap on the wrist for that one. Ballyburn topping the market 4-1, could potentially be going to Supreme, but also got potentials here. Reading Tommy wrong, 15-2. Irelantique 10-1, same form line there. Mystical Power again, Supreme or not, 10-1. A Dream to Share, unlikely, but is in the betting 12s. Coldwell Potter 12s. Gidley Park 14s, same as Slade Steel. Tanya, I'll come to final word there on this. On first word from you, but final word of the 3 races. Irish is dominating the top of the market. British runners, few and far between currently in the market. Is that something you'd be looking into, or are you potentially looking at a British runner and thinking they've got a good chance in this race?
Yeah, you have to respect obviously the strength of the market and the runs, but you just sort of watch the runs as and when they come in and then try and pull them all together. I do appreciate that it's been a while since the last GB winner, which was Willoughby Courts. Mr. Mullins has won this on quite a few occasions. I've got it written down. He's won it 6 times. But this year, I think he's going to come to GB. Whether it goes to Ditch It or whether it goes to my selection, I don't know. Paul Nicholls has got a really good, strong hand here for Johnny Delahaye, and you could pick any one of the 3. I'm mentioning Captain Teague, who's seems to me really straightforward. Captain Teague. Welcome to Catra. I really love that horse. That run second to beat the Bat. And that was a good race, that was. And I can't wait for Beat the Bat to come out again, which is very apt because the person who trains that will train my selection here. And then you've got Joya Allen, also that Paul Nicholls trains, who actually is Envoy Allen's brother. So Paul Nicholls has got all those 3, and any one of those 3 have a real viable chance, whereas their prices are all quite different for different reasons. Gidley apart for me, though, we've only... on watching its run at Newbury, and when I joked about the fact that you had Chase up there, I think he's ready to be a chaser already. He's huge. He's absolutely enormous, and he glides over hurdles as if he's stepping over like a thin little little plank. He's just that big. What I do love about him, though, he does glide. Now, whether he sort of glided and gently strode away from the caliber of horse, that may be important, it may be not. He just seems to me to have the capacity to deal with... He dealt with Newbury fine now. I think he'll be able to deal with Cheltenham. He seems sort of big and burly, so he will be able to deal with the hustle and bustle of a race of this nature. And wherever he's put in the contest, whether it be to the fore or to the back, he seems quite simple to me. So he's sort of one that perhaps he shouldn't be thought of as the top of the market here, but I can't believe he is. Is he double figures? I can't believe he's double figures for this. But that's what you get when there is this steamroll at the top of the market of so many good horses. I just want Reading Tommy Wrong to run at Cheltenham. That's what I want to see, because if he gets up to the exploits and antics that we saw him last time out do, it's just going to be captivating. He's that kind of type of horse. Full plaudits to Darryl Jacob, because I sat there watching him like that. Even that was on the replay. That was on the replay, even before thinking that it was going on to win the race. So I just hope he runs at Cheltenham, Reading Tommy Wrong, because he deserves every bit of plaudits. But for me, I'm going to go for Gidlear Park. I think Harry Fry's got some good chances this year, and Gidlear Park is to the fore, and he's to the future as well. And that's also what you have with this race. Look at the previous winners, Marine Nationale, which is going on to, but we can't wait to see him run every time again. Envoy Allen was a previous winner of the race, and you've got to think of that. You look on these runners and in this race and think, oh, I can't wait to see that in 2025, and what's it going to be doing there? Like you mentioned, Ballyburn, but we don't know where he's going. Gidlear Park is that to me.
Yeah, Gidlear Park could be a very interesting one. I was there at Harry Fry's at the start of the season, and there were sort of whispers going around the yard. I was doing some filming for a company, and there was sort of like, Harry and going around the yard saying which is the one this year, and they were all so excited about this Gidlear Park. They really were. And I know plenty of yards get excited about their horses, top horses, but this was something different. It was a real sort of aroma, a buzz around the yard, and he looks to be a top draw horse there, 14-1 for the Bearing Bingham. Lee, what do you fancy in the old Ballymore?
Yeah, it's had plenty of names for the Bearing Bingham, but yeah, look, I actually really like Gidlear Park as well. I think is the each way play in this. I didn't think it was a bad race that he won at Newbury, and he cantered away, to be fair. He's definitely a strong contender, and I know people say it and it's an old adage, but if he was trained by Willie Mullins, he'd be half that price. So yeah, look, definitely an each way play for the home team there. But I do think Ballyburn will be hard to beat. I have this thing, and I've been looking into it quite a lot. I'm sad like this, and I watch Cheltenham videos every single night, and I love it. But if you look back, there's not many of these JP horses that have tried this race. The last time he won this race was Isterbrak, I think, in '97. He had the likes of Champ runner up to City Island, but most of his horses and most of Nicky's horses as well go to the Supreme. Of course, John Bond tried against the mighty Constitution Hill, but there's plenty of went that way, and I don't think that this Jericho de Repney will step up, and I don't think Mr. Kapawa as well. And I think, look, he had it with Captain CB in 2008, JP. Captain CB binocular from two different trainers. I think he'll run a couple in the Supreme. I don't think he'll have much in here. And take away Ballyburn, there's not a lot that I like in behind bar that Gidlear Park. So I think Ballyburn is definitely the one to be with. But if he wins impressively over 2 Mile at the Dublin Racing Festival, will they switch him? You often do need that one with a bit staying power to win a Supreme. But I like him for this. I think he'll be short. I think it's between the two, Ballyburn and Gidlear Park.
Yeah, this could be foreshadowing here, Harry. But yeah, your fingers crossed for Ballyburn, staying at 2 miles. Potentially talk a little bit of that later. But as you see it, the Bearing Bingham, what do you make of it? If Ballyburn turned up here, would you be on his side, or are you potentially looking to go elsewhere?
Depends. If Ballyburn doesn't win at the DRF, I think they'll probably definitely send him here. But I think if he didn't win, you're kind of scratching your head thinking, I think for the sake of racing and for the sake of excitement going into Cheltenham, I want to see a good performance from Ballyburn. Not just financially funded, obviously, because I want him to go to the Supreme. But you want to see that competition. If we had the likes of Jericho de Repney, Ballyburn, Mystical Power, all lining up in a Supreme, the likes of Django Bay, we've got so many in there. We've got Farron Glory, so many of these horses. could turn up in a Supreme. It'd be incredible, which makes the Ballymore, I think 14-1 about Gidley Park is massive. I really, really do. I think it's a massive price. Do you know what? It's pretty crazy because the Jukebox Man is a horse that I put up for the Challow. Now I love this horse, this Jukebox Man, and he got his ground at Chepstow on in the bumper. Now I understand that they're all very green horses going into the bumpers, and they're always learning on the job. But the way that Gidley Park has put him aside was frightening. We've seen what the Jukebox Man has since come out and done over hurdles. He's gone 2 from 2 at Fosslas, and then he went into the Challow at 20-1, and he finished a length behind Captain Teague, who we've already mentioned. Well, we mentioned on the live show earlier on tonight as we film obviously on Sunday night. So I just think Gidley Park is a very special horse. Lee, you're bang on the money there. If he was trained by Willie Mullins, he would be where Ballyburn is at the top of the market on what he's shown. I think
all the time, but it is true. Like you could half that price really.
But then you've got to also factor the record Willie Mullins has.
Yeah.
And I mean, the famous phrase, if Willie Mullins had it, well, when Willie Mullins does have it, he doesn't really miss, does he? Like he's got the ammo, he fires it in the right places, and usually he'll have one lined up for this. Atlantique is a horse that I thought if he won the Lawlers of Naas, I thought he'd go for this race, and I think he'd win. But he just looks weak. You can't hold him up because he took over Firefox. He went a length up in his bumper and then got headed again. He then goes from the front in his 2 bumper starts. He wins the maiden hurdle in an absolute donkey race, obviously by 19 lengths because nothing in the postcode wants to get near it. Then he goes to the Lawlers of Naas and he runs so well until Reed and Tommy Wrong want to fight with him. Now that is the difference. If he goes,
I think people are being harsh on.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm not saying if you want to fight up that hill. If he jumped the final flight at Cheltenham 5 lengths in front and something was coming behind him, I would have every. And this is responsible gambling, Tanya. I'm so sorry. I'd have every penny I have on something to come and nab Atlantique because in a dog fight, I wouldn't fancy him.
Do you not think Daryl Jacob just rode a peach?
He did. Absolute peach. Yeah.
Look, he did, but Paul Townend also rode a peach as well. Paul Townend got the fraction spot on.
He's not. Yes, but he's already went and he's made his way for home. He's stalked into the race and then pounced at the line. I think people are being quite harsh on him. I'm not saying he's going to be the winner. He's not for me. But at the same time, people are being harsh on that race.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. If he, I just think Cheltenham for Atlantique as a horse in general. Couldn't be it couldn't be worse for him. Like it's going to eke out every single bit of stamina he's got. It's a grueler. You're going to need a proper brute to get up the hill, especially if the ground gets grim up on the Wednesday. So I just think that Atlantique at 10-1 is very skinny. And listen, I've got away from Gidley Park because I actually made a really good case, and I've just basically slagged off Atlantique for the last 5 minutes. So I do apologise, everyone.
Yeah, good one, Harry. Well done, as usual. Look, I'll weigh in on this. Ballyburn, I think, is actually really.
You
good
dare
mark.
put Atlantique up? If you dare put Atlantique up for this race now,
no, I'm not going to be siding with him. I think Ballyburn sets a really good marker in this race if he does turn up. I think he sets a marker in either of the 2 novice hurdles that he's potentially going to go for. I have him as sort of a good 150 horse based on sort of times and what he did on his last run, like sort of did it in the canter and really stacked up really nicely. I think he sets a good marker here. And if he was to turn up here, I wouldn't be too much against him. I think he's got a good profile going to a race like this. But I think Willie Mullins has got one who could turn up here. And I do freely admit that potentially based on his Nathaniel Lacey run, could go to the Albert Bartlett. But I think Predator's Goal as a horse, I think could be interesting in a race like this. Second to Caldwell Potter over 2 miles last time out. Again, look, I know a lot of people are crabbing that race, but I may be the one and the only one in the universe that's sort of thinking that form's all right. I know a few horses did disappoint, but I think 2 proper gritty horses who've got a good engine behind them stayed on nicely at the line and did what they needed to do. Predator's Gold, maybe not a 2 miler as such. He did run in a 2 mile free maiden hurdle. So the step up in trip to Nathaniel Lacey, we'll see how he goes. I think at Ballymore, he's got a nice turn of foot when he wants to. His maiden hurdle was, he showed a good turn of foot coming away from things at Punchestown. And I think it could be interesting in a race like this. 16-1 is a big enough price to find out. But look, he could be stepping up to the Albert Bartlett, or he could be staying here at the bar in Bingham. But Predator's Goal is the one price that I'd be interested in. But I do think Ballyburn sets a lovely marker in a race like this. We'll move on then to our Ante-post Fancies. This is where we come to the end of the show and we pick out one horse from any of the races that we want to be on for Cheltenham time. Tanya, come over to you first of all. Now we're fresh off the conversation of this horse because you like one in the bar in Bingham, the horse you just mentioned.
Yeah, Gidley Park for me. Ante-post wise, as you say, I do appreciate who are at the top of the market, but they're all going to have immense improvement. And Gidley Park, I'm already looking ahead to 2025. He, as I said, he's a huge burly sort. He glides lovely, and at the moment in double figures, it's an absolute gem for me.
Brilliant stuff. 14-1. Lee,
we've actually got Tanya on at the perfect time, because next week, if Gidley Park wins by 25 lengths, 14-1 is going to look like the best steal ever. And it's going to be like, Rob, what a genius move to get Tanya on this week. So yeah, I'm fingers crossed it goes well.
Lee, what do you what's your Cheltenham Ante-post episode 2 fancy?
Well, one I've already mentioned as well, Gallimore. So I think she's got strong credentials this season. I think she'll have that run at Doncaster. She'll go and run in the Mares Hurdle, and then she'll probably kick on France again, maybe, and collect a big pot. I think she'll stay as well, and I think she's value against the stablemate favourite in Lossiemouth. Yeah, so Gallimore is just want to get on my team sheet, I would have said, before she runs at Doncaster.
6-1, nice price if she goes and obliges at Doncaster. Harry, what about yourself?
Yeah, again, a horse I mentioned earlier on in the video, but it is a horse for the Supreme. So Ballyburn, who is entered in the novice hurdle at the DRF. He's currently 5-4. You can get around the 5-1 mark for the Supreme. I'm praying that is the way he goes, because I just think he'd suit it down to the ground. He was so impressive. I thought he was really good against Firefox when he went down on his sword. Now, albeit Firefox disappointing the Lullers of Naas, but I don't think that was the real Firefox that we saw against Ballyburn. They're two very smart horses. I think Ballyburn is the best horse. 7-1, you found me, Ash. You're a good lad, aren't you? But the 5. Ash, you've put me off now. The Ballyburn and Firefox, if they ever met together, and I know Firefox is going to be directed at the Supreme, but I fancy Ballyburn to beat him any day of the week, especially because I think obviously Firefox had that experience under his belt. We had the racecourse outing, and Ballyburn, it was his first start over hurdles. So I think he's the classiest animal we've seen in that division. I don't know whether that's a bit harsh in saying. Yeah, well, look, we'll see. He's 5-4 to win next week or the week after, and he's 7-1 for the Supreme. So I'm fingers crossed he goes that way, because I think he'll win.
Brilliant stuff. Hopefully he goes that way. I found you 7-1 because you have to thank our friends at Ladbrokes and Coral for pushing him out to 7-1 for the Supreme. So
they've obviously pushed it out for this YouTube channel. Like they've seen,
quite obviously.
There you go.
Other bookmakers are available, I must mention. My fancy completing the list. I've got one in my mind. I was going to go for a wild selection this week, but I've just reined in at the final moment. But she is running. I'm going to give away the gender of the horse. She is running this week. If she runs well or even goes and wins, she will be hopefully entering my team next week. But I do want to get High Class Hero on sides. I've been talking about this horse too much. I probably should have put him up last week at 14-1, but for some reason I decided to go elsewhere. And obviously he's gone obliged and his price is shortened in, but 10-1's a fair enough price, I think, for the Albert Bartlett. I've been really impressed with how he's gone. Still unbeaten over hurdles, and I think I think today's run, as we record now on Sunday, just run at Turles and won by 1 3/4 lengths. I think a stronger pace, I think better ground will suit him much better than it was today at Turles. So I'm going to go 10-1 about him for the Albert Bartlett. The audience snap, I've had to go back to our previous tweet on which one is the most liked or commented fancy, and it's between two gentlemen. We're gonna have a little guess here. It's between Santiago for the Grand Annual or High Class Hero for the Albert Bartlett. Which one should we give the audience? 4 apiece.
I reckon it's got to be Santiago. If you put High Class Hero,
there.
Sorry, what was that, Lee?
What was the choices? Santiago and what?
High Class Hero for the Albert Bartlett or Santiago for the Grand Annual. Which one should we give the audience?
You can't both have a High Class Hero because we just can't have that. So I reckon Santiago, who for the Grand Annual.
The lads have spoken. Santiago.
He should have won today. Actually, talking today, he should have won today, but that's another story.
It ran today, yes, Santiago. So who put it up in the end? Phil Daniel at Phil Dan won. Santiago was going to win at Ascot last time. Think he'll tank into the Grand Annual. 7-year-old rated a lovely 139. I'm expecting a big run. There we go, Santiago for the Grand Annual. That is the audience nap for episode 2. And that's all we've got time for this part of the show anyway. Tanya, thank you very much for coming on. You've been an absolute delight. Where best can we find you on stuff going on now? Are you going to be appearing anywhere that we might know of?
Yeah, I am on gambling.com every now and then. GTV coming up very, very shortly. We'll be chatting. We do have a good old chat about Cheltenham getting closer to March because we do appreciate, we sometimes get the Hoylesy on or Ollie to give their thoughts on that. So, yeah, and a race course. I will be at racecourse, so come and say hello. I'll be at the likes of Hexham coming up and Weatherby and Haydock and everything. So please come and say hello to me. I just love a chat.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, make sure to go check out Tanya. Fantastic guest, as always. 4 has become 2 on the video. Tanya, thank you very much for coming on for the Ante-post section. She's left us for the weekend fancies. And as you can see on our screen, there's no Harry. It's a different day, different clothes. But Harry's not here. He's got a small arm injury, which he's currently attending to in hospital. So he does have a big reason for missing this. So Harry, hope you get better soon, sunshine. But weekend fancies like we did last week, although the racing on the Saturday was a little bit decimated from our fancies. But we have, fingers crossed, got racing this weekend. And what belting racing it is, Lee. It's Trials Day in Doncaster. It's fantastic entries.
Yeah, look, the weekend looks great, to be honest. I think we're in for a treat for the next couple of weeks. Dublin Racing Festival the week after, but this weekend looks amazing, really, to be fair. There's plenty of good action at Cheltenham, but there's also good action at Doncaster and plenty of top names involved as well. So be interesting to shuffle the packs maybe for Cheltenham this weekend and next.
Yeah, it's going to be. I'm really looking forward to Trials Day. I'll be there on course, and I'm looking forward to the action. We've got, like last week, our sort of best fancies as such from this early stage. I'll quickly read out Harry's. He likes Il Rodotto in the Paddy Power countdown podcast handicap chase. For about 5-1 for that, and his nap is Burdett Road in the Triumph Trial. Lee, I'll go to you. What's standing out an early stage from you from Cheltenham and Trials Day? The floor is yours to put out your early fancies for the weekend.
Yeah, look, just plenty of horses that I'm looking forward to be honest. I do think Burdett Road will take a lot of beating. Look, very classy on the flat as well. Sergino's in there. There's a couple off the flat. I think there's one once ran Italy and stuff like that. But as he showed at Royal Ascot, he's a classy individual. And I do like these coming off the flat for the likes of a Triumph. With a Supreme Contender, you want them maybe National Hunt breds and ones that stay maybe a bit further. With the Triumph, you can get classy individuals. I think the last one to try maybe off a high rating was Sir Eric of JP's, Joseph O'Brien, I think come from Aiden's. He was classy on the flat, but there's not many with his flat rating to then try going hurdling. He does boot them out of the ground, as we're seeing the last day, but he just powers home, and that was impressive. And look, I did have a play on him for the Triumph, but I think he'll take this, and it'll be a good test against Sergino, who won well last day as well. Interesting race. Look, there's plenty in at Cheltenham. Gidley Park in the last race. I'm looking forward to him. He's kind of the Brits contender and the Ballymore there, or the Bar and Bingham, as I should say now. But yeah, he's our contender against the likes of a Ballyburn or and such. He's still a fair price for that Ballymore, the middle distance. And he should be winning this if he's going on to be a contender there. I'm really looking forward to him. And look, I found it tricky. The Royal Big Eye, the Real Whacker, Stay Away Fair. Which one do you take? And probably interesting to you, Ash, I might chance the Real Whacker to bounce back. I know. People will probably be shocked, but look, I've always liked the horse. I think he's disappointed this season. Last season, he was a great horse. He jumps for fun. We know what he does at Cheltenham. Stay Away Fair has got to step up to the top table out of novice division. I don't think that was a great race by beating Javinko the last day, although Stays for Fun, the name's on the tin. And Royal Pagay, look, getting on in age, beat Brave Man's Game. Protectorate was a long way beat and I think pulled up in the end, and the likes of Corrit Rambler was in there, was tailed off. So it wasn't a great race as well in that Betfair Chase. And he was able to dominate and kind of use his edge in that race. But yeah, I don't know, it hasn't won round Cheltenham. There's just a lot of ifs, and look, Stay Away Fair, I do think he'll step up. Definitely the danger, but I might just chance the Real Whacker. It depends on the prices, I would have said, and I'll have a proper look into it. But yeah, probably is a shock to you. I will maybe chance the Real Whacker. But look, going over to Doncaster as well. Donny's got a great card there. Jericho de Repene is due to run. Is entered. We've found out now as well. Only entered in the Supreme, not entered in the Ballymore, which is good for my pocket talk and Ante-post docket. But yeah, look, Django Bay's down to run in there as well for Nicky. That also probably go against Gidley Park in the last race at Cheltenham. Is entered there as well. But Jericho de Repene, yeah, look, impressive in 2 runs. Probably not beat nothing. This is going to be definitely the strongest test that he's had hurdling to date. And hopefully he'll come out of that with flying colours. He's going to be a short price. He's a talking up horse as well. He's one of the favourites for the Supreme. JP, Nicky, look, he's always going to be short, but hopefully he's worthy of that. Look, there's against the girls going to Doncaster as well. There's plenty entered there. Lossy Mouth is entered at Cheltenham and Doncaster, but she's entered in a race that the stable mates are entered in as well. Galamarso and Astro Diamond. There's plenty in that race, and it's a race of depth as well. Lucia's in there. You wear it well. I don't know how many he's going to take a chance. It was reported that Galamarso and Astro Diamond would go to Doncaster. Lossy Mouth, I didn't know whether she'd take in the Quevega hurdle or whatever it is, or come to a race like this. But I think she's going to go to Cheltenham in Perry Pass. He might stay at home and go against State Man next weekend. Who knows? But yeah, look, I think Galamarso and Astro Diamond will go to Doncaster, and Galamarso is really one I'm interested in. That'll definitely be a good test. She's first time back, but I think she stays for fun. I think she was the one to take out the triumph against Lossy Mouth, and I'm hoping she's the one in that mare's hurdle that can step forward this season. So yeah, so I'll round it up. Burdett Road I really like. I might chance the Real Whacker. Gidley Park is definitely one at Cheltenham. Jericho de Repene, I hope he is a Supreme contender, and Galamarso for the girls at Doncaster.
Yeah, you summed it up well there. Some fantastic horses out this weekend. Some potential Ante-post dockets that could be in the mud or could be very much in clover by the end of the weekend. But we will find out very soon. I've just got a couple of horses that I'm interested in at bigger prices. 2 from Cheltenham, 2 from Doncaster. The first of which in the 1240, a horse called Henry's Friend for Ben Pauling, 7-1 currently. It was a nice winner at Newbury last time out of a 2 mile 6. I spoke to Ben after that race. He said, trust me, this horse doesn't want soft ground. And that was quite soft at Newbury. Be slightly better ground at Cheltenham this weekend, I hope. He's probably priced up fair enough now. I wouldn't say he's value at the price, but I'd say he's 7-1's a fair enough price for him. I thought he jumped quite well, and I really liked how he attacked after the fence. So he jumped the fence well, and then he went away from the fence last time out. He beat Nicky Henderson horse, who was once fancied for the Ballymore Walking on Air, who's a decent yardstick, I think, in a handicap. Only put up £3 to run, so he should go quite well, I think. And 7-1's a good price for him. The next race at Cheltenham, the 115. Now, you did a very kind thing of putting up the Real Whacker, which is one of my horses. I know you've backed this horse before. Strawfan Jack, 20-1. I'm giving him a go. I completely understand the reason why you wouldn't fancy him for this weekend. The fact his run last time out, you probably know this, league, I think you backed him, was disappointing. You know, it was very much on and off the bridle, didn't jump his fences like he does, and faded away massively. I'm giving him a chance though, because he's dropping into handicap company. I've waited for this horse to drop into handicap company for so long. The last time he dropped into handicap company, November 2022, when he's fourth, over 2 miles at Newbury on good ground. Fred Darms won the race for Michael 128. He's a better horse since. Orcan Risk was in second. That's All Right Gino was in third. Balco Coastal was in fifth. Pretty decent form that race. Before that, he beat Astray Meadow, who went and subsequently won the Galway Plate, and he beat Astray Meadow in a conditions race that day. Astray Meadow was giving him £3, but since that race, Astray Meadows actually improved to be a 159 horse. So that's pretty decent form, I'd say. Even Soul Pretender's back in third. Beating that horse is nice. And even Jetois, the Ryan Potter horse who's won the old Roan Chase since, was back in fifth. That was good form. And he absolutely bolstered up of 128 at Foss last before that. I think he's got a good chance and dropping back into handicap company. Maybe he bounced last time out. It was his second run of the season. Potentially bounced, but I'd give him a good go, potentially. Hand up, Lee.
I've actually got him written down, and I think we stole each other's thunder. I thought 20-1 was massive because you just got to scrap that run the last day. He was never at the races, basically never at the races. He's running the likes of an Arkle against El Fabiolo and John Bond. He's never going to be their class, but like you say, first time thingy. Yeah, I was just going to give him a mention in each race squeak at the prices, I would have said, but yeah. Well, I think we stole each other's thunder. Are you going to do the Real Whacker or not?
I'm at this Ante-post stage. I'm happy to leave him, and by race time, I might have to back him, because I think if he's going to win a race like this is the weekend to do it. But got to whisper it quietly. But Ahoy Senor might be quite a big price at 5-1. But just whisper it very, very quietly.
If he disappoints though, he'll be in the stairs come March, yeah.
Yeah, potentially. I don't think it's so much. I don't know. I don't think it's his jumping that's maybe letting him down. I think it's just everything. His last 2 runs have just been everything's gone wrong. You know, like I wouldn't pinpoint just his jumping. I think he's actually quite a slick jumper if things go right for him, but they just haven't the last 2.
Like when he was against Shishkin, he jumped well and he was away and gone. Shishkin called him because he kind of maybe went too early. I don't know, but yeah, he needs to be on the bunny, doesn't he? And if he does miss one though, he kind of like not downs tools, but like it gets to him, and I wouldn't be backing him unless you're seeing a good effort come the weekend, I would have said.
Yeah, I mean, if there's ever a race that Lucinda's going to get him ready for, I think it would probably be this weekend. That's why I'm saying whisper it quietly. 5-1 could be a big price, but I think that's a cracker, that Cotswold Chase. Just in the same race, if Strawfan Jack wasn't in the contest, I maybe have a small interest on Easy as that for Venetia Williams. Back down to a mark of 137, bolts up off 133, beating 5-star Getaway by 10 lengths at Newcastle in February 2023. Been tried in a very decent race at Sandown and just disappointed. First run of the season behind Stage Star, would have probably needed it. Then got chucked up to 3 mile 2 behind Broadway Boy at Cheltenham. Wouldn't have suited him at all. Back down to a 2.5 miles and back down £5 in the handicap to 137. I could see why he could be backed at 11-1. Over at Doncaster, the 240 is the River Don. I always think the River Don's an interesting 3 mile novice hurdle, in the fact that it's graded, it's decent horses, but you tend to have one that's pretty robust and can handle conditions. I think I Love My Bay for Stuart Crawford and Daryl Jacob 10-1. First of all, pedigree wise, he's a full brother to a French horse called Hermes Bay, who's finished second to Telem, the Stayers 4-1 shot. on multiple occasions and actually beat him a few times in 2021. Also won the French Stayers Hurdle in 2022, finished 7 lengths ahead of Classical Dream, and was third to Ile Francais in March 2023. So he's a full brother to that. He's rocking up into the River Don. I know it's not a hurdle race, but he's a bit underestimated in the fact he's off a marker 1, 2, 3. I'd say if Connections fancied him, they could go in a handicap and probably win quite comfortably with him. But I think it's saying a lot. They're sending him into graded company, into a River Don at Doncaster worth 31k. So I'd say that's pretty much a tip in itself as such. I think he's put up some good numbers in his last 2 wins over 2.5 miles. The times he's been beaten was over 2 miles. He even ran into that Primrose of Lucinda Russell, who's probably going to run on Sunday this weekend. I think that's got a good chance as well, by the way, in the 2-mile novice hurdler, Doncaster. It's Primoz or Primrose, whichever the two it is, but whichever that runs, that's got a good chance. Ran into that. I think that's a pretty decent horse, but 3 miles, unexposed at the trip. I think it's got a good chance. It's I Love My Bay. And in the 3:15, in this same video, in fact, me and Tanya Stevenson liked one for the National Hunt Chase in Kilbeg King. I thought he was going to run in the Great Yorkshire Handicap Chase this weekend. Yeah. He's not in the race, unfortunately. He's been taken out at the 5-day stage, which is sad. So my replacement is Can Do Kid for Paul Nicholls, Lorcan Williams in the saddle. Paul thinks this could be quite an interesting staying chaser, stepping up to 3 miles for the first time. It was never going to suit him at sort of 2 mile free against Jello. Is it Jello for Venetia Williams last time out? Still ran a good race, and Jello I think is quite an interesting horse for Venetia. Obviously, sort of got brought down by Matata at the weekend in the Grade 2 at the weekend, the Lightning Novices Chase. Was never going to suit him, yet he stuck on all the way to the line to be beaten 6 lengths. Before that, he beat Frero Bombu at Newbury, stayed really well through the line that day as well. Step up to 3 miles should really suit. Off a mark of 141, I give him a chance. So that's Can Do Kid, and that's my.
What's the 10-1 down for that race for the Yorkshire one? What is the betting there?
Victorino 15-2. Famous Bridge 10-1, Garlaw 10-1, Surrey Quest 10-1, Forward Plan 12-1, and then it's bigger about the rest.
No, it's lower than that. I had one for the race and I haven't wrote it down. Keep going.
As in bigger or smaller prices?
Bigger prices.
Mr. Coffee, Jitmaker, Sweet Will, Cap de Nord, Cooper's Cross, Earn River, 2 Shots of Tequila, Annual Invictus, Atlanta Brave, Sail Away. God, Sail Away's entered. I like that horse quite a lot. Fantastic Atlanta Lady.
Brave. That's it, Atlanta Brave. If Atlanta Brave goes there, I forgot to write this one down. Sorry. If Atlanta Brave goes there for Curry Lee, stays all day. Ran behind the legs of Blow Your Wad over hurdles at Newbury last season, and was out the back of the telly and stayed on like a train. It's done that the last few times. Last time out as well, I think it's around 20-1. If that one does go, and I don't know if it'll take a chance, but it's off a fair mark. And yeah, look, Atlanta Brave is the one, and Strawfan Jack, like them are the two at bigger prices I would take. But there's so much quality on offer. I just honestly, I'm really looking forward to this weekend. Yeah. I think it's a great weekend. Next week we've got the Dublin Racing Festival. We'll have plenty on there, but I think we'll mention more when Harry's back on the Saturday show as well.
Yeah, we'll have our finalised fancies on the Saturday live. One more horse that I'm very interested in where he turns up, but he's not priced up. Some scope for Richard Hobson, Rubicon Racing. Ends on Saturday in a 3-mile Novices Limited Handicap Chase, and ends on Sunday in a normal handicap chase, both at Doncaster. Whichever race he turns up to, I'll be quite interested in him. That's all we've got time for on the YouTube video. Again, another Ante-post mixed with Weekend Fancies video. If you did enjoy, please do like, subscribe. The support on the last week's video was absolutely insane. Probably one of our best videos we've ever put out. Massive views, brilliant likes. If you've got a fancy for this weekend, if you've got an Ante-post fancy, drop it in the comments down below and make sure to get involved with that. Saturday, like we said, 10:30 a.m. we're back for Saturday Live to go for our finalised fancies. Sunday, we'll have the Sunday show as usual, 7 till 8. And yeah, we got competition winners already done, and we're running up to the DRF, running up to Cheltenham Festival. It's all an exciting time for sure. Hopefully Harry hasn't broken his wrist or broken his arm, but it sounds like he might have done. And if you're having a bet this week, please do gamble responsibly. We'll be back very, very soon. But until then, take it easy and best of luck.